Thank you, Teresa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Afternoon. Good afternoon and good evening, all participants. I'm Marie-Jean Bae, a Good Shepherd sister from Korea. Thank you for attending the Good Shepherd Asia Pacific Forum in the Commission on the Status of Women 66. Today, we gather in this virtual forum for those who suffer and are hurt by the violent and exploitative chains of prostitution, especially women and children. We hope that this place will become a caring solidarity for those who are being exploited. Also, we hope that this sacred virtual space will become a resonance of resistance against the wrong systems of society, culture, and politics that allow or promote violence. The topic we will share with you today is applying for peace in mitigating commercial sexual exploitation of women and children. The forum brings together people from all 4 countries who work together. Therefore, it will be a place to share the rich experience of the field. After the presentation, there will be a separate time for questions and answers. Please leave your questions in the chat box or ask questions later. We would be appreciated it. May I share my screen? The purpose of the forum are, first, link and deepen the application as Good Shepherd position paper on the prostitution of women and girls to programs and projects. Second, to share experience on field application of for peace. Third, understanding the integrative application of the for peace. We will share the field experience being applied through the ministries and programs of the Good Shepherd in Nepal, Philippines, and Thailand. What is prostitution? Prostitution is a system. Sometimes it is referred to as the oldest profession in the world. It is the oldest operation in the world. According to the position of the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, the root cause of prostitution has the following: inadequate family support, political structures and systems that devalue women, militarization, poverty, economic systems within globalized economy, women in extreme poverty, male privilege, patriarchy, extreme wealth, racist attitudes, ecological degradation, demand by men for women to be available for sexual purchase. So, and the effects of the prostitutions are criminalization of women, post-traumatic stress disorder, substance abuse, such as alcohol, drugs, smoking, limited livelihood option, poor self-esteem, shame, inferior, history of children physical abuse, double life, drifting life, always on the move, poor living condition, vulnerable to trafficking, sexual and other forms of gender-based violence, social discrimination, dysfunctional families, health issues. CNN News reports that Afghanistan parents are selling their young daughters to survive. Families say they are forced to sell their young daughters to survive. Prostitution is always exploitative. In 2021, the executive director of UN Women, Hamjil Mlambo Mkuka, who retired after serving 8 years term, said, "Our core belief as UN Women is that all women involved in this industry are victims, and the ones who buy services are perpetrators of violence against women." Prostitution is a system closely linked to human trafficking. Human trafficking is a growing global criminal industry that defies human rights and affronts human dignity. It is a violence based on recruiting, harboring, coercing, deceiving, and/or transporting people solely for the purpose of exploitation, most often labor and/or sexual exploitation. The sex business in Korea is organized and is an inseparable part of the regular bribery, payment, and lobbying. Women working in the prostitution business are always involved in debt, enslavement, and assault. The prostitution business, which started as a brothel built during the Japanese occupation, has continued to this day, reaching the brothels of the United States military base after the Korean War. These red light districts are in decline, shrinking, and closing since the enactment of the Prostitution Prevention Act in 2004. Orchid Village in Chuncheon closed demolishment August 2013. Yellow House in Incheon closed demolishment June 2020. Texas Village Cheonho-dong in Seoul closed, demolished October 2020. The vacant space, the empty space on your right that you see is where the US troops withdrawn. In Chuncheon, the Gangwon Provincial Office will be built here in the future. As you can see, the large parking lot in your front is where the brothels had been withdrawn. At the time of the demolition, there were 60 women working in the brothel. Where have all the people who left this place gone? Was the Orchid Village only physically demolished? Were they all able to settle well in society? I found out about the government support items for these women from Chuncheon. As you see, the support contents from government, such as legal aid, medical assistance, business startup, shelter admission, vocation training, and so on. The first in the country, Chuncheon City, where I am, the Good Shepherd are present, ordinance on the operation of support for victims of prostitution. Support for living expenses, $10,000 per person. Vocational training fee, $1,500 per person. Support for moving expenses are provided from the government. There is only one rehabilitation shelter in Chuncheon. This facility is the Motherland's House run by the Good Shepherd Sisters. We started this ministry from 2019. The shelter was originally started in 2009 by other corporation, but it was passed over to Khrushchev Foundation in 2019. So far, 172 women have stayed here. It is said that only 5 of them were able to become completely independent. What this means is that it is difficult for women who work in prostitution to become self-sufficient. How many prostitution sites are they currently staying in? Cushion house, ticket cafe, massage parlor, entertainment business, kiss room, karaoke, illegal massage room, dating, and chatting application. Prostitution, human trafficking, and migration are closely intertwined. Most of the victims involved in these global issues are women and girls. Women from countries marked in blue entered Korea and engaged in prostitution. Korean women leave to the countries marked in red to engage in prostitution. In responding to the prostitution of women and girls, it is critical to support international human rights. The UN 1949 Convention for the Suppression of the Trafficking in Person and of the Exploitation of the Prostitution of Others. The Palermo Protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children, of the Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. So let's take a look at the key elements of trafficking in persons stipulated by the Palermo Protocol and the 4 policies to combat trafficking. Key elements, Palermo Protocol Article 3, are act, means, purpose. 4P's framework to combat trafficking in persons are prevention, protection, prosecution, partnership. We'll look more closely. The following elements are necessary to define human trafficking: act, means, purpose. It is an indicator of trafficking in persons that includes these 3 factors. Children under the age of 18 are still considered trafficking, even if the means are missing. Then, what are the 4 P's? The policies to combat human trafficking in the context of the Palermo Protocol: prevention, protection, prosecution, partnership. Countries that have ratified the Palermo Protocol are committed to implementing the same for the 4 P's. Prevention. States shall establish comprehensive policies, programs, and other measures to prevent and combat trafficking in persons. States shall protect the privacy and identity of victims of trafficking in persons. It also considers implementing measures for physical, psychological, and social recovery. States shall adopt such legislative and other measures as may be necessary to render the acts referred to in Article 3 a criminal offense when they are deliberately committed. Partnership. States shall cooperate with each other by exchanging information with law enforcement, immigration, or other relevant authorities as appropriate. So, what can NGOs and civic groups to combat human trafficking? Protection, shelter, safe place, trauma-informed care, repatriation, reintegration, prevention, education and awareness program, prosecution, capacity development of criminal justice system, criminalization of traffickers, partnership, networking, and collaboration developed best practices and strategies. Prevention is always best started in our own country. Protection should always be approached with a victim-centered. Increasing prosecution is to prevent a recurrence of human trafficking. Partnership with government, NGOs, civil society organization, businesses, these 4 Ps are interconnected each other and crucial elements in order to combat human trafficking. So from now on, let's take some time to find out how the 4 Ps are being applied in the grassroots. The sites we will be sharing are Nepal, Philippines, and Thailand. We will start Nepal first. I hand over to you, Taskila. Welcome, Taskila.
Thank you, Mari-Jean. Good morning and good afternoon to all. I am Sister Taskila, working in Good Shepherd International Foundation, Nepal, and we partner with our sister organization, Opportunity Village, Nepal, in prevention of human trafficking in Nepal. We also collaborate with child workers in Nepal for prevention of online sexual exploitation of children. We promote safe migration along with National Network of Safe Migration in prevention, protection of human trafficking and other issues. So now we will have a glimpse of our prevention activities along with Opportunity Village, Nepal through a small video clipping.
नमस्कार, हमारा नाम संतोष सरिजन हो। शोभा अवसर ग्राम से सदस्यता के रूप में हम रही मतलब रोहिणी गांव पालिका वार्ड नंबर 7 हो। ये हमन के बाल विवाह संबंधी उठी भाई मीटिंग भाई सब कुछ भाई दाइजो प्रथा के बारे में भाई है सब कुछ मतलब ठीक चला था। महीना में हमन के लगभग एक हफ्ता में 2 बेर 3 बेर जाए पड़ता है बॉर्डर में मतलब रक्षा करे के नाते देख रेख करे के नाते हमन के मतलब तालीम में सिखाई गई है कि चली बेटी भी निकन कैसे होला वह सीख के हमन के बॉर्डर पर आके बाटी मतलब निगरानी करल जाला। ओकरे बाद जे मतलब महिला वैसा जे के देखल जाला ओके रोक के शोध पूछ करल जाला।
सबको नमस्ते, मेरा नाम अंशु जायसवाल है। मैं ओबीएन संस्था से जुड़कर बॉर्डर पे निगरानी करती हूँ और गांव में भी जाती हूँ। दीदी बहनी तो सबको ये बताया जाता है हिंसा क्या है और रेप कैसे सब समझाया जाता है और सिलाई बुनाई का काम भी होता है। फिर यहाँ पे कोई केस मिलता है हम लोग सबके साथ जाते हैं ओबीएन संस्था पे भी और रजिस्ट्री भी करते हैं सब लोगों के साथ। हम लोग भैरवा में गए, तालीम भी हुआ, उसमें हमको बहुत जानकारी हुआ। जैसे कि गांव में कुछ हो रहा है तो उसको बताया जाए, संपर्क किया जाए, सर लोगों का नंबर भी दिया जाए।
लिङ्गका आधारमा गरिने हिंसा लैङ्गिक हिंसा हो। घरेलु हिंसा, भ्रूण हत्या साथै महिला विरुद्ध हुने भेदभाव सबै जघन्य अपराध हुन्। महिला हिंसा अन्त्य तथा महिला सशक्तिकरणका लागि हामी सबै जिम्मेवार हुनु आवश्यक छ। महिला र युवाहरूका समस्या सुनौं, बुझौं र सहयोग गरौं। साथै हातेमालो गर्दै हिंसा रहित समाजको निर्माण गरौं। महिनावारीको बेला महिलाहरूलाई छगोठमा बस्न बाध्य नपारौं, भेदभाव नगरौं। घर समाजमा अपाङ्ग, असहाय वा एकल महिलालाई अपहेलित गर्नुको सट्टा उहाँहरूलाई उक्त समाजमा बाँच्नका लागि सहज वातावरण सृजना गरौं। बाटोमा एक्लै हिँडिरहेकी महिलालाई मौका होइन, जिम्मेवारी ठानौं। महिलाको सुरक्षा, सम्मान र रोजगार समृद्ध नेपालको आधार।
सबै मिली गरौं विपदको सामना। मानव बेचबिखनको अन्त्य हाम्रो कर्तव्य र चाहना।
मानव बेचबिखन समस्या एक, रूप अनेक।
कुनै पनि उद्देश्यले मानिस किनबेच गर्ने, कुनै फाइदा लिएर होस् वा नलिएर, प्रचलित कानून विपरीत मानिसका अङ्ग झिक्ने तथा वेश्यागमन गर्ने कार्यलाई मानव बेचबिखन भनिन्छ।
मानव बेचबिखन तथा ओसार पसार नियन्त्रण ऐन 2064। विषम परिस्थितिमा मानव बेचबिखनका घटना धेरै हुन सक्छन्।
जागौं जागौं, मानव बेचबिखन रोक्न सबै लागौं।
Taskila, please unmute. We can't hear you.
Now I invite Mrs. Sumnima Tuladar, the Executive Director of Child Workers in Nepal, to speak on partnership on promoting and preventing online sexual exploitation of children.
Thank you very much, Sister Taskila, for this opportunity to speak among your partners and colleagues from the Asia region. First of all, I thank GSIF for the partnership that you have started with CWIN. CWIN is the pioneer child rights organization in Nepal, and we also pioneered online child protection campaign and movement in Nepal. And with the partnership with GSIF, we were able to do a path-breaking national research on online child sexual exploitation in Nepal, which actually has now become the only reference point for the researchers, for the practitioners, and for the policymakers. And during the project that we had with GSIF, after the research report release, we were working very closely with policymakers represented by all the line agencies from the government. That included the Nepal Telecom Authority, the Ministry for Women, Children and Senior Citizens, the National Child Rights Council, Ministry of Information and Communication, the Cyber Bureau of Police, etc., including the Bar Association and the Office of the Attorney General of Nepal, where we had a work group, and we're talking about having a policy that protects children in Nepal. And as Nepal is gearing towards having a new cyber policy, we wanted to have children's issues, especially the protection of children from online harms included, and we were able to do that. The policy will be endorsed as soon as we will have the parliament sitting, and the work has continued even after we have finished this phase of project, and we are now working on developing a standard operational procedure for dealing with cases of online child sexual exploitation. We just had a very, very fruitful meeting yesterday, and Sister Taskila also participated in that. And we are hopeful that this SOP will be endorsed by the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizens, that will set a guideline for law enforcing agencies and concerns to deal with cases and the protection of children. Thank you so much. I'm ready to take questions if you have any.
Thank you, Sumnima. If anybody has any questions, otherwise we continue with our small presentation to work on partnership with other local NGOs and government entity on the same issues.
Okay, thank you, sister, and thank you, Sumnima Miss, for your availability and your inputs in this session. We're very much thankful to you. And now I will continue with the partnership work that GSIF Nepal has been doing on the part of prevention and responding to human trafficking incidences. So as we all know that human trafficking is an organized crime, and we all need to be organized to respond it effectively. So partnership is very much essential. So in the upcoming video, we will hear how GSIF Nepal together with Opportunity Village Nepal has been working with partners at different levels in order to prevent as well as respond to human trafficking incidences. So I will share the video.
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम है पुष्पा चौधरी। मैं पूर्वांचल ग्रामीण सेवा समिति शाखा नौतनवा से जुड़ करके SSB बॉर्डर सोनौली पर मानव तस्करी विरोध के खिलाफ मैं यहाँ काम करती हूँ। विगत 4 वर्षों से हम लोग मानव तस्करी पे काम कर रहे हैं और विगत 2 वर्षों से OBN संस्था के साथ हम लोग मानव तस्करी पे काम कर रहे हैं। आने जाने वाले को बेहतर तरीक़ा से निगरानी करते हैं, रोक कर पूछताछ करते हैं। अगर हम लोगों को शक होता है तो मानव तस्करी को मद्देनज़र रखते हुए लोग नेपाल प्रहरी, SSB और UP पुलिस के साथ मिल कर के OBN संस्था को प्रहरी के माध्यम से हैंडओवर कर देते हैं और हैंडओवर करते हम लोग केस फॉलोअप करते समय OBN के माध्यम से बच्चों के परिजन तक काउंसलिंग किया जाता है और उनको सुरक्षा पूर्वक उनकी अभिभावक को सुपुर्द किया जाता है। जाने वाले को बेहतर तरीक़ा से SSB बॉर्डर सोनौली पे उनका एंट्री किया जाता है। उनका SSB के माध्यम से लिस्ट बनाया हुआ है। हम लोग जॉइंटली मीटिंग भी करते हैं गांव लेवल पे, बॉर्डर एरिया पे। इससे महिलाओं को, बच्चों को चाइल्ड पार्लियामेंट का हम लोग एक ग्रुप बनाए हैं। उस ग्रुप में OBN संस्था के स्टाफ को और इधर PGSS के स्टाफ के द्वारा बेहतर तरीक़ा से हम लोग बच्चों को जानकारी देते हैं, महिलाओं को सशक्त बनाने का कार्य करते हैं। उसमें सभी सरकारी टोल फ्री नेपाल एवं इंडिया का उन लोगों को बताया जाता है। जॉइंटली बैठक भी किया जाता है। मंथली हम लोग कोर कमेटी का बैठक करते हैं। उसमें सभी NGO, नेपाल NGO, इंडिया NGO सभी को एक मानव तस्करी के रिफ्रेश के लिए जानकारी दान प्रदान होता है।
नमस्कार, म रोहिणी गाउँपालिका अध्यक्ष सनोज कुमार यादव। अहिले हामी चाहिँ नि निर्वाचन भएपछि 5औं वर्षमा लगभग सम्पन्न गर्दैछौँ र हामीले जुन एउटा कोष निर्माण गरेका छौँ जो साझेदारीमा छ, मानव बेचबिखन तथा पीडित उद्धार कोष भनेर चाहिँ जो छिमेकी राष्ट्र भारतको मुम्बई, दिल्ली, कलकत्ता जस्तो ठाउँमा पुर्याउने हाम्रा यहाँका अब एजेन्टहरू मार्फत या कुनै मार्फत त्यस्तालाई रोक्नको लागि र बर्डरहरूमा, किनकि बर्डरमा छोएको गाउँपालिका हो हाम्रो, लगभग 21 किलोमिटर छोएको गाउँपालिका हो। त्यस कारणले प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा बर्डरमा पनि निगरानी गर्ने र रोक्ने र त्यसपछि पनि त्यहाँ भारतमा चाहिँ फँसेका चेलीबेटीहरू, मानवहरू जो भए पनि उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ नि हामीले खोज तलासको क्रममा चाहिँ लाग्ने खर्च बापतको कोष जुन साझेदारी गरेका छौँ त्यो गर्न पाएका छौँ शुभ अवसर ग्रामसँग। त्यो हामी गाउँपालिकावासी र म स्वयं गाउँपालिकाको अध्यक्षको नाताले आफूलाई पनि एउटा खुसी महसुस गर्छु, किनकि सबभन्दा ठुलो धर्म नै मानव धर्म हो। त्यस कारणले मानवता नै जोगाउने हो भन्ने हाम्रो उद्देश्यले त्यो साझेदारी कार्यक्रम पनि शुभ अवसर ग्रामले हामीसँग साझेदार गरेर कोष स्थापना गरेर सञ्चालनमा गरेका छौँ र आउने कुनै किसिमका त्यस्ता समस्याहरू निवारणको लागि सधैँ समन्वय र सहकार्यमै हामी जानेछौँ भन्ने जानकारी गराएको छ। त्यसकारण पुनः धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
नमस्ते, म हिरादेवी पोखरेल 32वटा वडा सदस्य। मैले चाहिँ अब यो शुभ अवसर ग्राम नेपालको बारेमा भन्नुपर्दाखेरि यसले चाहिँ यो चेलीबेटी बेचबिखनको बारेमा धेरै गतिविधिहरू अगाडि बढाएको छ। हामीले चाहिँ विशेष गरी अब यो 32वटा भित्र रहेका रेस्टुरेन्टहरूमा काम गर्ने अनम्याच्योर छोरीहरू अथवा म्याच्योर महिलाहरूले गरेको गतिविधिको बारेमा धेरैचोटि हामीले चाहिँ अनुगमन गरेका छौँ र शुभ अवसर ग्राम नेपालले चाहिँ त्यस्तो गतिविधिमा एकदमै अग्रसर भएर हामीलाई पनि समन्वयकारी भूमिका निर्वाह गर्दै अगाडि बढ्ने क्रममा चाहिँ धेरै संस्थाले चाहिँ अगुवाई गरेर काम गरेको मैले पाएको छु र कोभिडको बेलामा पनि यो संस्थाले चाहिँ राहत वितरण गर्नेदेखि लिएर सबै काममा अगाडि अग्रसर भएर काम गर्यो र हरेक क्रियाकलापमा हामी जनप्रतिनिधिहरूसँग समन्वयकारी भूमिका निर्वाह गर्दै काम गरेको हुनाले यो शुभ अवसर ग्रामको चाहिँ उत्तरोत्तर प्रगतिको कामना गर्न चाहन्छु र निरन्तरताको पनि म कामना गर्न चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
अब शुभ अवसर ग्राम भनेको चाहिँ अब पोखरा महानगरपालिकामा धेरै जसो गैर सरकारी संस्थाहरू हुन्छ, विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ। त्योमध्ये अलिकति चाहिँ संवेदनशील हिसाबबाट चाहिँ संवेदनशील क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने संस्थाको रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ मूल्याङ्कन गरेका छौँ र विशेष गरी अब जोखिम उन्मुख रहेका महिला तथा किशोरीहरू बालबालिकाहरू यो लैङ्गिक हिंसाको हिसाबबाट र विशेष गरी मानव बेचबिखनको हिसाबबाट पनि अलिकति जोखिमको सम्भावना रहेका महिला किशोरीहरूलाई जुन किसिमको कार्यक्रमहरू यहाँले सञ्चालन गरिराख्नु भएको छ त्यो चाहिँ संवेदनशील छ भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ र विशेष गरी अब यो महिला सुरक्षा गृह र अनाथ बालबालिकाको लागि चाहिँ बालगृहहरू सञ्चालन गर्नुभएको छ र त्यो हिसाबमा पनि अब हाम्रो गण्डकी प्रदेशको एउटा राजधानी भनौँ पोखरा महानगरपालिका, यहाँ चाहिँ विभिन्न अब देशको चाहिँ विभिन्न जिल्लाबाट चाहिँ यहाँ कामको सन्दर्भमा रोजगारी पाइने हिसाबबाट महिला किशोरीहरू चाहिँ अर्को अन्तर जिल्लाहरूको पनि यहाँ आउनुहुन्छ। तर अब बाहिरबाट आए पनि पोखरा महानगरपालिकामा आइसकेपछि कुनै घटना घटेमा हाम्रो जिम्मेवारी दायित्व हुने सन्दर्भमा यहाँहरूले चाहिँ परियोजना सञ्चालन गरिरहँदा र जसरी चाहिँ सेफ हाउसहरू चाहिँ सञ्चालन गर्नुभएको छ त्यस्तो महिलाहरूलाई हामीले तत्काल उद्धारमा राहत गरेर कहाँ लगेर राखे त भन्ने सम्बन्धमा पनि अब हामीलाई प्रहरी कार्यालय पोखरा महानगरपालिका र गैर सरकारी संस्थाको समन्वयमा चाहिँ काम गर्न जुन सजिलो अवस्था भएको छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ म शुभ अवसर ग्रामलाई हार्दिक धन्यवाद भन्न चाहन्छु र आगामी दिनमा पनि यहाँ प्रोजेक्टको चाहिँ म निरन्तरताको चाहिँ कामना गर्दछु।
Yes, thank you all for watching, and I would also like to thank all the people who were involved in preparing this video and who contributed in the video. And with that, I would also like to request, if you have any questions, to please put your questions in the chat box, and we'll deal with in the last session of this event today. And with that note, I would like to hand over the session to Amy from Philippines. Amy and her team will be presenting on the work that is being done for the protection and partnership in preventing human trafficking as well as online safety of children in Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you, Govinda. Good morning again and good afternoon to everyone. So the Philippines, Japan province, as one of many faith-based organizations in the Philippines, will share the various programs and services meant to protect women and children survivors of prostitution, human trafficking, online sexual exploitation of children, or OSEC. The importance of collaborative efforts and partnership with different organizations in upholding the rights of women and children will be highlighted also in this video.
The Religious of the Good Shepherd, Philippines, Japan Province, has been involved in efforts to eliminate prostitution and the trafficking of women and children for decades. Through its development arm, the St. Mary Euphrasia Integrated Development Foundation Incorporated, or SMIDFI, the RGS unceasingly promotes the empowerment of women and children. In this regard, it has facilitated the recovery of thousands of survivors of gender-based violence and eventually the realization of their fullest potential.
Executive Master Sergeant Tena B. Garcia, WCPDP-NCO of Batangas City Police Station. The collaboration between the Batangas City Police Station, Women and Children Protection Desk, and St. Bridget College Community Center Incorporation is effective and efficient in addressing concern on women and children. Both of the agencies highlight the value of giving protection and ensuring the fair consumption of rights among women and children. Face-to-face consultation and orientation and education were put to halt. But due to the advancement in technology, online and virtual sessions were done to ensure that the collaboration of the two agencies in the achievement of their goal is sustained.
I'm Mrs. Virginia D. Fruelda, the first as mobile teacher here in Batangas City. Education is one of the most powerful weapons which we can use in improving our lives. This line inspires me as an alternative learning system mobile teacher to accept the challenge in teaching out-of-school children, youth, and adults. Every alternative learning system learning sessions should promote gender equality and a youth-friendly and learner-centered approach that result to our great goal, which is to help them pass the accreditation and equivalency test and received their diplomas. I can say that SBCC and ALS achieved their goals in improving the lives of our learners or graduates because they are no longer in the street or in the hospitality industry. Instead, they have a decent job.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Francisca Hapasalan Mingito. So I am in charge with Dalang Panel Incorporated. So I am the program director here. Dalang Panel Incorporated provides safe, loving workplace for the girls and women escaping human trafficking. So we are a non-residential community where survivors receive professional training, employment opportunities, and a chance to heal, grow, and thrive. Our collaboration with William Maria Good Shepherd is between referring these girls who are eligible to have this training with us and be employed. So we provide decent job opportunities for these girls who are victims of human trafficking because there is really lack of opportunities for these girls. When they transition back to their community, we need to provide them the income that they need because most of them, they are trafficked or they are into prostitution because they need to provide for their family. There's no employment opportunities for them, they would fall back to prostitution. So it's really important to equip these girls to have skills that they need.
I am Jonna, Country Director of Paglaong Training International. It's based here in Cebu. So relative to our collaboration with other partner agencies to forwarding the work that we're doing, I would say it's relatively easier, I feel, to navigate here for Metro Cebu. Mainly because we know who the key partners are, and there is a collaboration process among this small group of nonprofits and the government here in Cebu. So, for instance, like on our end at PTI, we really focus on economic empowerment services. So while that is our focus, which is at the end part of the whole reintegration process of the clients that we work with, the beginning works has to do with outreach, that has to do with client care in shelters, that has to do with family services, that has to do with counseling and providing psychosocial support. Those are also being handled or addressed by other partner organizations. We work with others and we collectively share our services because the clients that we work with, it is a shared client. Our expertise in the area of economic empowerment, and so we complement and we fill in the gap because that's what's lacking for services for human trafficking in the whole reintegration aspect. For those that you work with in Metro Cebu.
International Justice Mission, IJM, is a global organization that protects the poor from violence. In the Philippines, IJM partners with local authorities to rescue victims of online sexual exploitation, bring criminals justice, restore survivors, and strengthen justice systems. We recognize that survivors need access to a package of services due to the multifaceted nature of their needs. We are driven by a multidisciplinary approach as we engage various partners in a collaborative case management process to assess the needs of survivors, mobilize resources, services responsive to their needs in a continuum of care from rescue to restoration and reintegration. Indeed, responding to the needs of OSEC survivors is a challenge given their demographics: very young children, older boys, and sibling groups. There are gaps in providing them appropriate placement options. To address this, IJM works to expand partnership development and advocate for more foster families and kinship care, shelters for older boys, and sibling groups.
So thank you. Thank you for that was the effort of the collaborative case management of different partner agencies. So it is how you can see how important is the partnership and networking to other organizations. So I will hand over to Thailand. They will present the fourth P, which is the prosecution side. Turning over to you, Sister Pia Chat.
Thank you very much. May I ask Teresa to share the screen for me, please? So good morning, everyone. I'm Sister Piasha, the director of the Fountain of Life Women's Center. Now I'm in Pattaya. So today I'm going to present the prosecution and partnership, commercial sexual exploitation of women and children. So I will say the name of the Good Shepherd Thailand. The first, next please. The first step, we should have a common understanding that at present, the situation of prostitution in Thailand is still illegal. The Prostitution Act of 1996, the first one, became the mother law of the Anti-Human Trafficking in Person Act of 2008. Next, please. The Thai justice process on human trafficking. So you will see the police and the attorney and the court. So the good shepherds involved and in this team to for the police team. Of course, police cannot work alone. So according to the law, the police will work with the multidisciplinary team, including social worker, psychologists, and foundations to process arrest. So
Excuse
some
me,
of the
Pia
systems.
Chat. Excuse me, Pia Chat.
Yes.
Please put your mic further from your mouth because we can't hear you well.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sorry, thank you. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, thank you.
Not too near your mouth. Thank you so much.
So, did you hear that the police will work with the disciplinary? No, so with the good shepherd, we have the team, some of the sister and the social worker as our staff, no, who have the license. So they can work in the team with the police, with the attorney, and also in the court, some of the social work, our social work, they have to be witnesses for the victim under 18 years old. So, next slide, please. Next. And some of the governors, they requires to the good shepherd to support the victim of human trafficking in terms of food and accommodation. So some of the center in Thailand, we provide this also. So there are the two center. The first, the Good Shepherd Nong Khai registration to work for anti-human trafficking, and also the Pattaya Fountain of Life Center was support anti-human trafficking. So also we have the NDO for anti-human trafficking and also the violence also. No, so I will not go to the detail. No, I have so much to share. Next, please. You can see the name of the some of the sister and our staff. They have the license to work for anti-human trafficking. So for work on the prosecution process, we need to appointing by the governor and also who have the license for the social work so that they allow you to work on the prosecution levels. Yeah, next please. As you know, the Pattaya is the major hub for Thailand's sexual tourism industry. The Fountain of Life Center was founded as a part of campaign to end violence against women and children, to prevent human trafficking crimes and sexual exploitation, anti-human trafficking and support of women and children victims of sexual exploitation and prostitution. The weekly meeting with women, education of Human Trafficking Act and related laws, human laws, and also we we share to them the rights of the victims. This is a very lack of information. Also, how the governors they have the fund or they protect the victim or the survivor. So we cooperate with the police. Sometimes we invite the police to come to the center to to give all the information and work together for to help the survivor. We send the three sisters, next please, and for our staff training. If you cannot hear me well, please tell me, no? We send the three sisters and for our staff training for empower screening to assist victims of human trafficking with policemen under the provincial governor program. Because to help with the prosecution level, you need to be trained and allowed by the governor. Yeah. And the statistics for the 4 years at the center, so a total 4,267 girls and women. 60% of members give information regarding sexual exploitation of women and children, success law enforcement. Now the human trafficking is developing online, but we cooperate with the police who in charge of the online prosecution. So next, please. Next slide, please. So we also, the Good Shepherd offer a variety of courses and activities, counseling, language, language classes offer English, German, French, and also the vocational training, hairdressing, massage, jewelry. For the partnership, the support of victims of trafficking in person alone is not enough. So we cooperate with we call the anti-human trafficking in person division, ATPD, to discuss the cooperation in a team at the national levels. So we have the two levels in the our area, in the province, and in national levels. Next, please. So that I have told you, we have to appointed by the governor that they allow you to work on that level. Uh, this is just very new, but very new, or 2 years already. No, this is the uh, the governor of the Kingdom of Thailand has appointed me to work on that. No, this is I have right to edit and to advocacy, and to edit the law about the Prostitution Act. So now we are on the process, and I have a meeting with the government every month. So to for the sake of our women, so we have right to do that also. And the head of the police came quite often to discuss with the sister and with us. No, it's not me alone. No, and I mean the sister in the other area also to discuss to help the survivor, to help the victim. Next, please. This is the cooperate that you can see and with the police and the attorney to get more resources. Uh, why? Because the resources on the traffickers who force the women to for the prosecution. In Thailand, it's a big area in Chiang Mai, Phuket, Pattaya, Bangkok, and in the border province also includes Nong Khai. A lot of trafficker, and also how the police get involved. So they have to get involved with the Good Shepherd, because the Good Shepherd will work for women and children who who become the victim and at risk to become the victim also, and also especially for the women who are with the Fortune of Life Women Center. They travel around the world and they know so many countries, and they know even who is the trafficker in Pattaya. So the police came to the center and also discussed. That's why the police, why they are appointing as some of the sister, Kushapa sister, to work with them. No? Next, please. Uh, this is, in front, the how to say, in front, you can see the picture. Like this is all the police, no? The policeman, the police group. They just come and visit and discuss. But you know what thing behind the scene? What thing behind the scene that I can share to you now, but I cannot put the picture. They came to arrest the trafficker in Pattaya area. They came early, 5 a.m. But after 9 a.m., pretending to come and discuss with me. Because why? It's for the safety of us. Because the one who gave them the resources and some of our women. So this is when we work at the prosecution, is some picture or something we cannot say in the public, but I can share to you. Yeah. So this is some, if I'm not explain, someone might not understand how we work and how we cooperate. Yeah. Thank you. And also we teaching how to overcome to the current world social inequalities. Uh, when we work for the involved in the prostitution, pro it's not can work for the one or two levels. We have to work on for the four piece, no, together. They will not come back again to be the victim again and again. But some of them come back, become the victim and victim again. No, yeah. So we treat them every month, and also we have to give them, provide them for the vocational training courses. Yeah. Next, please. This is the prosecutor provides the legal and the human law and also the about the anti-human trafficking. At the same time, in the morning they give the lecture, but in the afternoon they meet individually to get the information and to help the victim. Some of them who are living with us, I know it's not living with us, but come to the center and study with us. Yes. This is the last month, just show the case the last month that the officer, the international protects people's right protection, they came and cooperate with our center. So I will show you the video and you might see clearer for the 3 short video that I prepared. No? Yeah. I will not go to the detail much. At the same, please pass on. This is some information form on the rights for the trafficking victims under government. The government, they have the fund for the victim, and also they have the accommodation, food, the transportation, the all the fund for the victim. So, but our challenge is it's a long process, for the prosecution is a long process and make our survivor sometimes give up. Yeah, but we need to encourage them because we want to arrest the trafficker. I took this picture. Myself and the 2 staff members went out on the Pattaya street with the police officers to help the 3 children and 11 women at night. No, this is a very long process, but I just show you how we work with them. Yeah. Oh, next, please. Uh, I will just show you the success story for the this is a man, a man who live in Pattaya, and he receives our two women to work at the alcohol bar in the South Africa. You might wonder, South Africa, how they have the cocoa bar. In that area, a lot of the business town. So, but we report this to the international national police, no? And then the two women come back safely. They got the hairdressing training with us, and after 3 months, they went back home and start the new life at home with their family. And this is another two cases, 39 years old, 31 years old. Two of them were separated from the Thai husband. So they tricked into coming to Pattaya with an offer of restaurant work. They locked up upon arrival, forced to sell sex, threatened with death and death of their children. But after 1 month, they escaped up after that, no? And then we report bar owner to police. So that after that, we help these two women. We give the information with the police, and also we provide them the massage skill. And but the 3 months really long process for them because two of them already broken, no? The heart, the life was broken, and they tried to suicide herself. But after got the counseling and also empower, now two of them are safe. Yeah. So many. So some of the Good Shepherd sisters helping the women who are deceived into prostitution in foreign countries such as Korea, Singapore, Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Germany, Oman, and also Teresa from Malaysia. Huh? So So this is we call with them. This case, I would like to share. The police they asked me 2 years ago, sister, after we finished meeting, sister, do you have any house, any sister in Korea? Because we have the case over there. So we try to send the paper. Okay, we have the paperwork with the police. The police in every country were very slow, but we need to have a safety house and very fast. Do you have anyone? I said, yes, we have the Korean sister. Now we working in 72 countries around the world. Please let me know if you need help. No? It's not quite often for the government who ask help from the NGO, but the Good Shepherd is choosing. One case, maybe before start the video, one case, the social work went with the policeman to help the girls who forced to sell sex by her real mother and her grandmother. But anyhow, the Good Shepherd social work saved her with the police. Thank you. So enjoy the video.
the word and that idea quite often. Even we work here, we work to support the family, we have dignity system.
Yeah, second the video. So I hope you enjoy for the Good Shepherd, how we work and how many women that we and children that we serve. The second video, please. Teresa, the video not move.
Shukra.
Or maybe you can share the third video. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Teresa. So during waiting, one of the boy, the Fountain of Life Children Center saved a boy, the Vietnamese boy, no, who was in Pattaya before. So we work in the name of the Good Shepherd. I hope that you're proud of our charism and you enjoy how we have opportunity to save so many victims of human trafficking.
Okay, I will share the third video, yeah? Pieta?
Yes, please. Yes, please. The last video, yes.
Yes, hopefully it comes on. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
This is the one, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me enable the sound. I'm sorry, everyone. Just let me do it rightly. Okay, here we go.
Sawadika. On behalf of the Good Shepherd Thailand, I want to express our sincere gratitude to Mr. Chavalit Wongsa Norathe, Inspector General of the Office of Attorney General, Mr. Somjai To Sukon Wan, Director General of Public Prosecution, Region 2, Mr. Saksin Sukcharat, Executive Director for Civil Rights Protection and Legal Aid, Region 2, for holding an educational lecture at the Fountain of Life Women's Center. We believe that for vulnerable women, the knowledge of family law, basic human rights, and understanding of crimes prevention and protection measures is a key not only for empowerment, but also for securing safe future for their children. The team of General of the Office of Attorney General, General of Human Rights and Legal Aid, General of Public Prosecution, Region 2, police representatives, and Chonburi Irrigation. Thank you very much for your support and cooperation.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Oh, you're well done. If I turn on the video, I will die. So, any question? And Sister Supapon, Sister Anurag, Sister Supatra, Sister Chantana are here. Can help me to answer about Thailand. Thank you. And if not, oh, Sister Supapon raised her hand. Okay. Before I hand over, yes. Sister, unmute, please.
Sorry. Yeah. Just now on chat room, somebody asked, are you taking part in the discussion to edit the law regarding this issue? And so could you say a little bit about that, please? Thank you.
Excuse me, sister. We will be having question answer session after the summary of all the presentation. I'm sorry for that. Maybe after 5 minutes, we'll be having a question answer session.
Okay, thank you.
So I also request everyone to put in your concerns, suggestions, questions in all the presentations if you have in the chat box.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to you all. May I hand over the floor to Owen for summarizing. Hand over to you, Owen.
Thank you very much, Sister Piachat. Now, Teresa, I hope you don't mind. Can I share my screen? Can I share screen, please?
Hold on, Owen. Okay, go ahead, Owen.
Okay, thank you. All right, so on behalf of the presenters from Korea, Nepal, the Philippines, and Thailand, it is my, I would say, distinct pleasure to render this synthesis, this summary of what has been discussed. So clearly, prostitution, trafficking in persons, and online sexual exploitation of children are inherently violent and inherently abusive. All three have devastating consequences on the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of millions of victims around the world, particularly women and children. Hence, there is no question that the campaign against prostitution, trafficking in persons, and OSEC should be laser-focused and unceasing. Moreover, our responses should be flexible, multifaceted, and root cause based. Fortunately, we have the 4 pillars or the 4 Ps of the Palermo Protocol to guide and sustain our efforts in this campaign. Now, as for all the video presentations that were made, now noticeably, a couple of important points were emphasized. First off, that the 4 pillars of the Palermo Protocol are interconnected and at the same time interdependent. And at the same time, that the interests of those who seek to protect, those we seek to protect against prostitution, trafficking in persons, and OSEC can be better served if there is robust and sustainable coordination between state actors and civil society organizations. Now, I'm sure you have heard it said that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's why in relation to the concept of prevention, states primarily have laws and policies in place because these laws and policies, they serve as some sort of a preemptive strike against the commission of these 3 crimes. Moreover, these state-sanctioned measures, these laws and policies are intended to protect those who are vulnerable. Ideally, the protection that is given should be characterized by a survivor or a victim-centered approach. Now, as we have mentioned a while back, we have laws and policies in place. Now, with respect to violators, those who violate these laws and policies should be prosecuted. However, we have to take into consideration due process whenever we prosecute perpetrators. It must be remembered that successful prosecution of these cases rely on the unified efforts of the pillars of the criminal justice system. Namely, we have law enforcement, prosecution or the prosecutors, the judiciary, penology, and most importantly, the community. Now, for all these three P's, prevention, protection, and prosecution, to create a lasting positive impact, the fourth P, which is partnership, is indispensable. Why do I say that it is indispensable? Simply because the state cannot do it alone. It must partner and network with non-government organizations, the academe, the business sector, and other cost-oriented groups within its territorial boundaries and even beyond. For this partnership to work, however, the state and civil society organizations should complement one another, especially in terms of responding to deficiencies in terms of resources and capacities. They should also carefully embrace their differences for these partnerships to develop over time. Now, these four P's, they are, I would say, they work hand in hand in a, I would say, in a cyclical fashion. And the interrelationship and interdependence between and among prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnership were clearly shown in the best practices of each of the countries represented today. So let me show those best practices, or let me show them once again. So in the case of Nepal, so when it comes to laws and policies, I would like to single out. Okay, it has the Human Trafficking and Transportation Control Act. On the part of the Philippines, among other laws and policies, it has the Anti-Trafficking Act of 2003 and the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Law. For South Korea, now it has the Act on the Prevention of Commercial Sex Act and Protection of Victims, which has been amended several times. Also, what is one thing I found out about South Korea is that it has the a Ministry of Gender, Equality, and Family, which scraps policies on sex trafficking. And as for Thailand, there is the Prostitution Prevention and Suspension Act of 1996. So in other words, the legal infrastructure is in place. They have laws and policies to counter these three crimes, which are the focus of our discussion today. Now, for the next one, okay, in terms of protection. Now, all presenters gave very good examples in terms of protection, protecting survivors from the three evils, I would say, of human trafficking, prostitution, and OSEC. So some of the best practices that were given, okay, the demolition and closure for hotspots in red light districts, community mobilization, the provision of safe and loving workplaces for women and child survivors of human trafficking. There is also the socio-economic empowerment, particularly of the youth, which I believe is one of the most vulnerable sectors to these three. And most importantly, we have education. So it is important that education, encouraging the young to continue to pursue their education as a counterforce to these to prostitution, human trafficking, and OSEC. Now, let's proceed to prosecution. Now, in terms of prosecution, now all four presenters reflected intensified conduct of anti-trafficking, coordinated operations, as well as investigations of reported cases of violence against women and children. Also, more alleged traffickers have been so far prosecuted and convicted, with most defendants given the maximum penalties prescribed by law, such as those like life imprisonment and fines ranging or reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, in terms of partnership, it's quite obvious. In all the presentations, you can see strong tie-ups and frequent collaboration between CSOs and state actors, that is not local and national agencies, particularly in the conduct of information drives, referrals for health and rehabilitation, promotion of income generating activities for survivors, border patrol, and implementation of educational and training assistance programs. Now, when it comes to challenges, I will have to note that there are still challenges despite our continuous, our consistent, our unceasing efforts. There are still challenges. And from what I saw from all from the presentations, the challenges are mostly in the realms of prevention and prosecution. Why did I say so? Because so far, there have been few convictions of public officials for complicity in any of the three crimes. There is still a need for additional training on handling digital evidence in hearings and trials. So we have to be more, I would say, we have to level up when it comes to technological capacities. And again, this is somewhat a difficulty, a persistent difficulty, insufficient resources within the government's anti-trafficking and anti-OSEC structures, particularly for law enforcement, and for making sure that local government units enforce laws against prostitution, trafficking, and OSEC. So given all the presentations that were made and given in the face of the challenges I presented, we recommend the following. So increased efforts to investigate, prosecute, and convict complicit officials, strengthen the capacity of local government units to provide reintegration services for survivors, increase resources for anti-trafficking forces to conduct timely investigations, while at the same time providing robust and sufficient survivor and witness assistance services. We just do not talk about the survivor. We also have to take into consideration witnesses who have been so far very helpful in countering prostitution, trafficking, and OSEC. Also, increased support to government and NGO programs, providing specialized care to survivors. And something that I would say is a dream on my end, create a central database for information on human trafficking cases, for example, to facilitate interagency coordination in detecting, investigating, and prosecuting traffickers. So for that, thank you very much for your time.
Yes. Thank you, Owen, for a wonderful summary. You have summarized all the presentation in a very comprehensive way. Thanks for that. And we are almost at the end of this event. Now we'll be taking questions from you all. And we have already received few questions. And before moving into question answers, I would like to share that there have been words of gratitude from the participants to all the presenters, as well as to all those who have worked behind in preparing presentations and doing all these works for the project participants. So we really appreciate your words of gratitude and thankfulness. And also we appreciate your presence in today's meeting. And with that, if you have furthermore questions, please put those questions in chat, and we will get to the concerned presenters or concerned countries. And for now, we have question for Philippines. And the question is, in the video, it was said that what was lacking is the whole reintegration aspect. Can you say more about it? So I would like to request Amy and the team to respond to it.
Yes, I'll be responding first for this one. Actually, the gap that was presented actually is the employment part of this reintegration process. Because the reality here in the Philippines, as what one of our partners mentioned a while ago, that it's very hard for women who are already escaped from prostitution can go back again to this kind of circumstances if the financial situation of these women will not be improved. I think the realities here in the Philippines, I can ask some of our colleagues here who are really on the grounds working on this one. It's a huge gap. That's why we keep on exploring partners who can really help us, not just in the formal employment, but also in preparing these women into doing formal employment for them to have a sustainable, financial situation. I can call on Miss Arian. She's one of our colleagues in Cebu. Miss Arian.
Thank you so much, Diane. Well, in our practice, I'm the program coordinator of Good Shepherd Heart here in Cebu, in Villa Maria, Good Shepherd Sister Cebu. So we are in the last stage, and we are focusing really in reintegration process. That's why we make sure that in training back the women and children to the society, it is really important to have a good partners, especially in employment aspect, because to at least prevent revictimization of women and children. So yes, it is really important, and it is one of the gaps, I would say, one of the gaps in the case management process. That's why we make sure we have partners who is answering that gap. We have the Dalangpanan Incorporated and the PTI, and then the Veritacor. They provide employment to the women in a disadvantaged situation. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Diane and Edian. I think it also resonates with the sharing of Sister Mary Jean, who said that around only 2.6% were completely independent in their cases as well. So reintegration is really challenging in this sector, and we really need to focus our interventions and have clear strategies to make sure that reintegration is successful. And moving forward, there is a question to Sister Piachat. And the question is, the mission in Thailand has very strong recognition and support from the government and enforcement agencies. Are you also part of discussions on the national policies for trafficking in persons in Thailand? So, Sister?
At now, I have the name to edit the Prostitution Act. Only the Prostitution Act, but the Prostitution Act, they have to go back and see the Human Trafficking Act, because under this. But why they want to edit the law, this is not come by the government. I don't know that I answer, I understand the question or not.
Sister, I will repeat the questions. Are you also part of discussions on national policies for trafficking persons in Thailand. So whenever there are national level policies being formulated or reviewed or analyzed, are you involved in those process?
About that levels, I part of the province Chonburi levels. But for Prostitution Act, I part of the nation levels. Yes.
Okay.
But because
Thank
of
you.
the two acts are related to one another. Yeah.
Okay. So with your sharing, we got to know that a Good Shepherd in Thailand is participating in provincial and national level consultation in relation to formulation or review of policy. The question is, how do you handle cyber prostitutions? I think the team from Philippines can respond it in a better way because they are working much on prostitution happening online or online sexual exploitation. Diane, will you be able to respond to this question?
Yeah, I think the question was how to handle cyber prostitution, and if there is any Good Shepherd networks between Good Shepherd countries. For now, we don't have any formal networking with other Good Shepherd countries, but I think like 2 years ago, a year ago, we started these advocacy campaigns in not just in addressing, but also in giving awareness campaign across Good Shepherd Asia Pacific. And I think this is a good start for all of us. It could lead us really into this strong collaboration because as what we've mentioned in the past sessions, addressing cyber prostitution, especially the Philippines is the receiving country of this kind of abuse, and some of our counterparts here in the Asia Pacific, they are the one who the perpetrator side. So we've been really thinking on how can we really work on that one. But I think the advocacy campaigns that we've been doing is a very good start for this future collaborations. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Diane, for the explanation. And I would also like to add in on this in relation to GS networks. For example, we have been operating cross-border anti-human trafficking project in Nepal, and we are also, like in discussion to coordinate and collaborate with the Good Shepherd in India whenever there are any cases for rescue, repatriation, or any other support process. So, Sister Taskila, would you like to share something?
Yeah, I also would like to add on the cyber safety, more and more awareness to our program participants, and cybernet guidelines will also help our program participants, especially the youth and the young ones, to prevent them from getting into cyber crimes or cyber victims. This is what I also like to add for that question what Diane spoke about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sister. And yes, after along with the pandemic, like we have come along together virtually and knowing each other better. And as Teresa has also shared that we are both in sending as well as destination countries, our collaboration will have a much more greater impact in the days to come. And also while we were preparing for these sessions, we had some discussions in relation to the cases from Thailand in Korea. So how Thailand can cooperate with Korea, and maybe we can have further discussion on the days to come on how we can make use of our presence, our strengths, to support each other countries. So that was really a nice questions, and hopefully we have responded to it. And if there are no more questions, we are almost toward the end of the session.
Govinda, there's a hand raised from Sister Lorena.
Okay, Sister, please go ahead.
This question is directed to Taskila. Taskila, I get the impression from your presentation that even your videos, there's a lot of focus on the younger generation and the young ones. I'm very interested about that. Like, is it that you have a lot of programs there? Because when we work with young people, then that is where we can take the resources and understand better, of course, looking at the different contexts. Am I right?
Yes, sister, you are right. We work with very young people between the age group of, especially in the entertainment sector, from the age group of 18 to 25, and also the minors who are involved in entertainment sector. So we have lot of program for them on awareness, counseling, and plus vocational training and business setups. So this help them to prevent and themselves from exploitation and plus be empowered. And we also promote peer-to-peer support groups so that the girls who are enrolled with the Good Shepherd programs will encourage other youth also to get into and become aware. So it is peer-to-peer networks also we have. Apart from that, we also work in the communities and in the local school with the youth in preventing or making them aware of the risk of human trafficking, plus preventing and sharing their information with their own peers and local community.
So can I just know, do you purposely targeted that group? And is that, or is it because the whole population of Nepal seems to be a younger population?
No, I think we specially target this group, plus because they are the future generation or the present generation which need to be aware, plus of course the communities too. But the main focus for us is this group. But according to the population, I don't know what is the peak age group or the maximum. I'm not sure. Maybe Govinda can enlighten on that part of it. But our programs, we focus on the youth, empowerment of youth for prevention of human trafficking.
Okay, thank you, Taskila. Thank you.
Yeah, Teresa, would you like to share something? Before moving to you, I would like to share that the population of children and youth is remarkably high in context to Nepal, but then our focus is on the youth who are working in adult entertainment sector. So in the presentation also you noticed that part. Yeah, Teresa.
Thank you so much to everyone who presented. I'd just like to share an insight, and that is that as you hear the presenters today, they are coming from both predominantly sending countries of human trafficking, of people who are engaged, who have been victims of trafficking. And there are some of us here from Asia Pacific that are in destination countries. So when you listen to the sharings today, you will find that as in Thailand, the trafficking is internal within the country. In the Philippines, they are addressing Filipinos who have victims of trafficking. Similarly with Nepal. But for Korea, you will also see that Korea is a sending country. Many places like, and a destination country, many places like Singapore and Malaysia and maybe Australia, New Zealand, we would be destination countries. And therefore our interventions and our programs should have a different flavor to address the issue that is present in our countries. I just wanted to share that aspect. So most of the presentations you're hearing today are from countries that are sending countries. Thank you so much to all the presenters. Go ahead, Govinda.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that aspect, Teresa. And we are almost toward the end of the session today. So we'd like to thank everyone for your presence and active participations. And many thanks to Teresa who motivated us to come forward, share with each other what we have been doing on the ground, and we are ever grateful to you. And before closing, do you have any final words, Teresa?
Oh no, this has been really so good for all of us in Asia Pacific. This is our 5th CSW66 session, including one where we participated on 16th of March at the global level with a presentation from Philippines. All these sessions are available on the YouTube channel for Asia Pacific. And so we encourage you to encourage our mission partners and other NGOs to visit the Asia Pacific YouTube channel to see what has been presented. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for this group as well. Thank you for participating.
Govinda, I would like to tell that Korea is not only sending country and recently really destination country. A lot of women from Southern Asia, they are working in this entertainment business. So we are both. And also we have a partnership with the International Tali-Takum. So the older Asian Pacific countries, 11 countries are working together as sisters and mission partners together for this, combat of this anti-trafficking. And also last year we finished the cyber safety course in order to prevent. So as you remember, so this is very inspiring partnership also. I would like to address this. Thank you
for adding in that part, sister. And with that, we will conclude our session for today. And thank you all for your presence, participation, words of motivation to all of us. We wish you all a great time ahead and best of luck on your mission. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.